Hello backpackers, this is Juan from Backpacks and I'm here today to talk about my logistics for doing the Uinta Highline Trail this year, 2025. I'll be leaving Pennsylvania for Utah and Uinta Highline in July, mid-July. It's quite a long trip for me. I have to fly in. There are a lot of logistics. I'm a little bit unorthodox with how I approach trails and how I go to trail and what my goals are with trail. And so these logistics may not fit for everybody, and they probably won't, but they'll be a good kind of start in understanding what it would take to get to and from the trail in the Uinta Highline, because it is not very easy because of the remoteness of the trail, because the trailheads are a little bit more difficult to access because you're going around mountains and the way the roads run through the mountains. It just makes it more complicated, and there's not a big trail culture there where you can hitch rides. When I'm backpacking in California, I'm literally hitching rides from the trailhead, not even planning many times as I'm coming off trail, because I know there'll be plenty of people. There'll be also plenty of people who are interested in giving backpackers rides back into a town or something like that. So last year I did attempt to win the Highline. I got 3 days in and then had to abort my mission, so to speak. Really, I was buzzing along really nicely, making good miles in the first 3 days, but I had received a message from the service that dropped me off saying that they got reports that there was a lot of snow on the passes only a couple days ahead of me, and that I needed an ice axe to get through, and they knew that I did not take my ice axe with me. I left it behind because there was lots of snow apparently. So with that data and the fact that I was actually backpacking by myself, and I might have to go across snowfields, which I've done in the Sierra, but just the way it was presented to me, I just felt like kind of got this feeling, the gut feeling I shouldn't continue on, because I've done solo snow travel in the Sierras, but I didn't have my ice axe, so I decided to turn around and make the best of it. It was a great 3 days. I enjoyed the trail thoroughly, and I am really looking forward to getting back on that trail in about 2 more weeks from right now. This time I'll be accompanied by my son, who is a longtime backpacking partner of mine. We've done the John Muir Trail together. We've done the High Sierra Trail together, and many other trips and canoe trips and all kinds of outdoor things. And so we got a system down, and it's going to be fun to have him along. So let me back up a bit and talk about really the logistics of how I'm going to get the trail from Pennsylvania to Utah, how I'm going to get on trail, the number of days I'm going to spend on trail, a little bit of planning there, and then how I'm going to get off trail. I'm actually going to approach the trail from the east terminus and end at the west terminus. That's what I've decided to do. Many people do it the opposite way. I just like the idea, quite honestly, of flying into Vernal, Utah. Very small town, very small airport. Makes it a little bit more expensive, to say the least, to fly in there. But I just love that little town because I was there last year, and I just want to start my hike there and have a good time in the town a little bit before I shove off on the backpacking trip. So I'll be coming from Pennsylvania. I do have a video on my YouTube channel about how I pack for long distance flights and so forth and backpacking. So you might want to take a look at that, search around on my YouTube channel. I'm going to fly in on get there in the evening on day what I would call day -2, and it's about 2 days before we go to trail. Then the next day, I've got a full day where we are going to, my son and I will supply for the trail. We will buy our food in Vernal. We will spend that whole day buying food, buying license canisters, things that we couldn't fly with, and making sure that our gear is in order and that we didn't forget anything and we're fully prepared to go to trail. Once we do all that, repack food, get things down to kind of a science and figure out our calories. Typically, I'm doing about 2,500 calories per day. We're going to get a ride to the trailhead the very next day. So we're landing one evening, using a whole day to get ready, to buy food, just to pack gear, make sure we're in order. And then the next day, we're going to be going to trail in the afternoon. That first day will be at 8,500 feet at the eastern terminus of the Uinta Highline. That's kind of our acclimation, a little bit of more acclimation day. I think that you should have more acclimation. I've done this many times, and this is comfortable for me personally, and it may be too much for other folks. And same with my son, we've done acclimation this way, so we know how our bodies react, but some people need a lot more time and a lot more kind of progression up into 10,000 plus feet. And so you've got to really be careful with that and kind of consult with some resources that you might have to try to figure that out for yourself. So I'll be at 8,500 feet the first day. We will get there in the evening or the afternoon. We will stay all day, probably just have town food instead of using up our food. Take town food with us instead of using our food that we packed to use on the trip. We will be doing 8 days. We'll start the very next day in the morning. Those 8 days will typically be around 12 to 15 miles. The way it's worked out, we have one really short day, and then we have only like 5.5 miles to get above 9,000 and stay overnight that night. Again, part of our acclimation that we know works for us. And then the next day, we're going to go 20 miles to kind of catch up so that we can finish this trail in 8 days. From there, really, we're going to be averaging between 12 and 16 miles a day. We've got 8 days planned. Every day ends at a lake or at a creek, someplace where we can do some fishing, and that's one of our goals, is to do fishing. And so when we're in town and resupplying, we'll obviously be getting a fishing license, and we'll be having fishing gear, and I'll do a video on my fishing gear because I was a long time a fishing guide, 15 years of guiding fishing, and so I know how to do it under a pound. My fly fishing gear for the backcountry is literally, I just weighed it about 30 minutes ago. It'll be 7 total ounces, and so I'll let you know on that. So less than a half pound to catch fish. So at any rate, we'll be starting with an easy day of 5.5 miles. We'll be setting up camp. We might go a little bit further that day depending on how we feel with the elevation, but we're trying to stay like under 10,000, like that 9 and change. And then the next day we'll be hiking above 10,000, getting above 10,000 feet, and the rest of the trip's going to be above 10,000 feet for the most part, where we're camping and so forth. So we will do like a long 20-mile day, and then we'll start doing like 12 to 16 miles after that, finishing in 8 total days. So when we get to trail, that's the really difficult part. We have had some people, or I have had some folks contact me 2 different times, individuals who are interested in, that heard that I was going to do this because I get on one of the Uinta Highline or Uinta Lovers Facebook page and kind of posted some questions about getting the trail. So there are some people that have offered to pick me up, which is, I really, truly appreciate that. But I decided instead of doing that, I'm kind of weird about inconveniencing people. So, unless they happen to be at the trail and I just ask for a ride and they're cool with it. So I decided not to do that, and I'm using Mountain Transport, which is an actual business that provides shuttles. I will say this, going that route is a lot more expensive. The people that offered to give me rides, some of them just offered it, gas money and whatever I think their time is worth. Something like that, in which I was just, very grateful for those offers. And there were like 2 offers to 3 offers that came through. And so obviously I thanked them and, but said, hey, I've already got arrangements. And so I'm going to use Mountain Transport. They're pretty easy to find. They've got a website, and they're going to pick me up in Vernal and my son up in Vernal and take us to the trailhead, which will take about an hour and a half, something like that. And so once we start the hike, then it becomes a matter of getting back again. Because I'm flying into Vernal, I've got to get in flying back out of Vernal again. And again, I chose to do that because I want to have a day or so at the end of the hike to experience Vernal a little bit, just relax, get some dinner, see some of the dinosaur stuff they have in Vernal, because it's like the dinosaur capital of the United States or something like that. And so what will happen is when we finish at the western terminus 105 miles later, I'm going to need to get back to Vernal. Another way you could do this, quite honestly, is just get a ride back into Salt Lake City, which is closer than Vernal, right? But again, I chose to do this for my own personal reasons and just kind of the way I want to do things, and and do my hike and do the after stuff after the hike. So I have mountain transport that will come out and pick us up and take us back to Vernal, which is a very, very long drive because they've got to go across the bottom, the southern part of the mountains, climb up in, I guess, and go between the mountains, come around and go in and then come back out again and around and back to Vernal again with us. And so that's quite a feat. And so again, it is much more expensive to do that, especially if nobody else is sharing the ride with you, because sometimes they'll take multiple people and that cuts your costs down a little bit. But at any rate, that doesn't, it is a bummer, but at the same time, I want to do the backpacking trip, the through hike, the way that I want to do it, the way that I'm comfortable and going to enjoy it. And that's just kind of what I wanted to do. I could have probably just shortened things up by getting a ride to, somehow to Salt Lake City and then leaving from there. But again, I just like the town of Vernal. So when we get off trail, we'll literally be going back to Vernal. I set up a hotel again for the night that we will get back, the evening we get back, and then the whole next day we'll have a whole day in Vernal. We will leave the next morning out of Vernal and then fly back to the East Coast, back to Pennsylvania. So that's kind of the logistics there. And I think the biggest thing is, the ride really. And again, you could go on the Uinta, I think it's the Uinta Mountain Lovers website, like people that love to be in the Uintas kind of thing. Great site, lots of great information. The other thing that you need to know, I think, is that because I've been in Vernal and I've started that eastern terminus, it's really easy to get food there to when you fly in, so you don't have to bring your food as long as you leave yourself enough time to resupply or supply there. There are like grocery stores that sell bulk food. I think there's like a Walmart further into town, if I'm not mistaken. There's an outdoor store at the edge of town that has backpacking gear and canisters and sells fishing licenses, which we're going to need. And so there are a lot of resources there. There are a number of hotels in Vernal across the board. So I'm not necessarily going to recommend any specific place, but there are plenty of hotels in Vernal. And there's some nice little restaurants and just mom and pop places. There's some definitely some tourist stuff around dinosaurs and things like that. Stores selling dinosaur bones and, well, not real bones, but you know what I mean. So that, honestly, you can tell by what I'm talking about, that's like part of the experience for me. I am obviously looking forward to the trail more than anything. I've seen videos of that area. I've been through the first 3 days, and it was pretty incredible. And I just started to scratch the surface of the higher elevation places too. So I'm really looking forward to this trip. If you have any questions about Uinta Highline, planning and so forth, certainly, post up, down below. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions that you have. Again, I'm a bit unorthodox in how I do things, and I've got lots of experience, like going up to elevation and things like that. I know how my body works, so like it's kind of honestly like a little bit second nature to me at this point. And my son, who has done these kind of trips with me, but I never take anything lightly. I always plan. I'm always cautious. I'm always careful. I always plan for the worst case scenarios. And then, just try to have a great time while I'm out there. So at any rate, backpackers, that's my logistics, I guess. So, yeah, like I always say, stop watching YouTube videos. Get out there, do some backpacking, do some hiking. Unless they're my videos, though. Then you want to watch them all from start to finish. Later, backpackers.